look, a tube. What's up everyone? Today we are working on the R1. So we have some block off plates. I don't know what brand these are. Don't know if they're Graves or for what, because there's no engraving or anything on them. It's been a while since I bought them, so I don't really remember what brand they are, but there's a couple companies that make them. They're just a basic aluminum plate just to get rid of the smog pump and stuff off the bike. If you're wondering why, the purpose of doing that, it's really just for dyno tuning. I mean, it simplifies your bike as well, gets rid of some of the stuff that doesn't really need to be there. But also when you're dyno tuning and they put the probe in the exhaust, they can't get an accurate air to fuel ratio reading if you have the smog pump all going, because it actually is injecting fresh air into the exhaust and it's messing up what the computer will actually read. So it makes it really hard for it to actually figure out what's going on there. So I do have an ECU flash already done, but I don't have a dyno tune done on the bike, and that will be done hopefully in the not too distant future. But we need to get this done so that that is already on there, it's ready to go. As you can see, the bike is mostly pulled apart already. I actually did that before my motorcycle wreck, not on this bike. I did that before my wreck and just haven't gotten around to getting back to the bike. I originally pulled it apart because it did have a misfire. Some of the plugs were fouled, so we've got some new NGK spark plugs. If you're curious, those are CR9EIX. They are an NGK Iridium plug, and we're gonna throw some new plugs at it while we've got everything apart. I will try to get you guys set up in a good position to see what I'm actually doing, but let's get after it. As you guys can see, I've already got some of this out of the way. I've already got the pump out of the way. We do need to take both of these plates off, and that's where the block off plates themselves will actually go. And then with this pipe here, or tube, whatever you want to call it, this actually goes up to the air box. So we're gonna have to pull the gas tank off and get the air box out of the way so we can block off the port that this goes to. To get to the point that we're at here, obviously you need to pull off both side fairings. I don't have my radiator in anymore, so we pulled the radiator out of the way. The coils are all pulled out of these spark plug tubes here, so we don't have those in the way anymore. Unfortunately, I couldn't show you guys all of that because it's already done, but it's all pretty straightforward, and you'll probably see me putting it all back together. I've got my Allen wrench here. It is a 5mm. That is the size it needs for these bolts here. We will get these loose right now. Those bolts took a really long time to come out. I think they have Loctite on them. Kind of looks like what's on there, but it is white, which is a little strange, but I got both of them off of there. You can see there is a tiny little rubber gasket, kind of too far away on that one, but you can see on this one, tiny little rubber gasket, and that is what is going to seal the new block off plates up against there. So if you were concerned that your block off plates didn't come with any type of gasket, don't worry about it, it is there. We got our two block off plates all ready to go. They're gonna sit on there just like that. And we are gonna reuse the factory hardware. Now that we've got the block off plates on there, we can start removing the tank so we can get that tube out of there. And if you guys hear the fan, I apologize. It's currently 97 degrees in the garage, so got the fan going to make it suck a little less. So on the seat, there are two bolts that are just down the back here. I don't remember the size of those, but I'll figure that out for here in just a second. But I got to remove those. I do have them loose already because I pulled the battery out to store the bike. So Gonna pull those bolts out, get the seat out of here so we can access some of the other hardware. So it looks like it's the 5mm, same size that we used on block-off plates. The next places that we have hardware, we've got this Allen here, there's one on the other side, and then we've got the central one right here. So we need to loosen both of these off and get this one off. And then the whole tank will actually rotate back on this pivot point back here. What's up?
What's up?
Very different than the last time it was seen.
Dude, sorry, man.
It's all right, it's just the compressor, as long as it's not the bike. Sorry for the interruption, guys. I had one of my motorcycle friends come and borrow my motorcycle ramp so he can go buy a new motorcycle. But back to this. One of the things I like to do to hold the tank back is I use a piece of wire, like insulated, you know, just power wire, speaker wire, whatever you've got that has the soft or rubber, whatever, insulation on it, because you don't want something that's actually going to damage. I don't want to use like a bare wire because it will damage something. It will damage your paint. So I like to use this because it doesn't damage anything, and it's a good way to hold the tank back if you're doing this alone. Let you guys see the wire. So it's tied through the bolt hole up at the top and then just strung down and holding on to the rear subframe. Keeps it back, keeps it out of my way so I can continue working on it. It turns out I'm an idiot. I hit a button. So I got the air box all taken off. Well, we got the top half of the air box taken off and got the air filter taken out. I have a K&N reusable filter. This is a good time to check if your filter is clean. If it isn't, put a new filter in it. You should buy a reusable filter like a K&N or BMC, whatever. I have a K&N, but they're a good thing to use. You get a little bit of performance out of them, but also being reusable, you can clean them, throw them back in. Next step, we got to get all the hardware out for the velocity stacks, because that's what's holding this air box in. Tube that we don't need anymore. I just pulled it up through so it's not sticking out down here anymore. Now we just need to attach it up here, block this off, put the air box back together. So the plug that they included for this block off is too small. So they're stupid. I guess I'm going to the store to get a bigger one. So I'll be back in a little bit. Got a new cap. So the one that I had to pick up is about a 1/2 inch, and the one that they gave us was about a 1/4 inch, which definitely wasn't gonna work. So this one should do. I'll get it on now. You guys probably can't, I don't think I can get it high enough so you guys can see it, but right there, it slips on nice and tight. Probably don't even need to put anything on it. I do have a little band clamp I was thinking about putting on there, but with as nice and snug as that is, I don't think I need to. That's the block off plates installed, and the port is blocked off on the intake box as well. So now we can get onto those spark plugs. Before we can put new spark plugs in, we got to get the old spark plugs out of these holes. Got my spark plug socket, and I've got a couple different length extensions because where the frame is, it's going to be in the way on some of these. So we'll just keep at it and get them all out. My light died. Well, that sucks. Alright guys, time to start filling it up with coolant. So we got our funnel ready to go. I am going to add some of this VP Racing coolant additive. There's probably 6 ounces in there, which should be more than enough for this small coolant system. And I did buy premix on the coolant because with it being this small, I didn't want to mess around with doing a full strength and distilled water and measuring out. So I got a premix 50-50. So it's all ready to go. Now that the radiator's pretty full, I am going to start squeezing these hoses on both sides so that we can try and burp some of the air out of the system. Our radiator is full. We are going to go back to the reservoir that's back there and make sure that that is nice and full. Then the coolant system should be all good to go. It will burp a little more air out of it with it actually running. There will be a few pockets of air still in there, so we will have to add a little bit more coolant to it later, but for now, should be all good to go. So that's block off plates all finished up, spark plugs in, radiator back on and full of fluid. Although that wasn't really necessarily going to be part of this video, it is a step towards getting the bike back together. I'm not going to throw the plastics back on yet because I need to do the oil change on it. Like I said, it has been sitting for a while since before my wreck. I don't want to run that oil through the bike, so I do want to swap that out of there. I will be doing that tomorrow. So hopefully you guys like this video. Hopefully it's helpful to a few people for either putting on block off plates or if you want to do your spark plugs. Taking the side fairings off is very simple, and you guys saw me putting the radiator back on, just kind of the reverse of taking it off. Make sure you've got a catch can underneath it so that you're catching all the fluid coming out of it when you're pulling it apart. I couldn't be more excited to get back onto the R1. I have been really looking forward to this for way too long. So I'll get this thing back together tomorrow. Hopefully you guys watch that video also. And I will do a review of this bike at some point because there is a lot of custom parts on this bike that a lot of other R1s of this generation don't have. You can kind of see that the undertail exhaust is not there anymore. So that is an unusual thing for this generation of R1. Hopefully you guys keep up with the bike content that we've got coming here soon. Hopefully you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you guys very soon.